Hi everyone, my name is Maggie Brown, and this is my little presentation on assessing academic performance for students with autism. First off, using assessments daily, weekly, monthly, throughout your trimester, throughout the year, is super important just to inform your own teaching and your own instruction, as well as seeing the strengths and weaknesses in your students, as well as sharing those with your students as well, so that they're able to see what they have mastered, what they know, and what they need to continue to work on. So there's a few different types of assessments that can be done. One is a diagnostics assessment, and this happens before any instruction even begins. This gives you a little insight of what are misconceptions that students have, what do they know, what do they not know, and this helps you really plan your instruction for your students to make short-term goals as well as long-term goals for your students as well. The next type of assessment is a formative assessment, and this is what informs your instruction while you are teaching your students throughout a week, throughout the month, and throughout your trimester and even your year. So this happens during your instruction. This could be simple checks for understandings during your lesson. This could be maybe probes that you give your students each week. This might be some of your progress monitoring you're doing throughout the year, throughout the semester. And this just allows you to continue to check in to see how your students are performing, what they're mastering, what they understand, and what they still need to work on, as well as what you need to maybe change in your own instruction. And the last type of assessment is a summative assessment, and this happens after your instruction is over. So this might be maybe at the end of the semester, maybe it's at the end of the year, maybe it's when a student's IEP meeting is coming up and you're seeing which goals they've achieved. And this just shows mastery of skills and of content and what your students know overall after instruction happened. So there's a lot of different data collection tools that could be used in order to assess students. And so I used some that I just noted some that I use very frequently. So the big one is progress monitoring. This is monitoring your students' progress over a long period of time. And the Iris Center broke it down, which I hadn't actually really thought of before, or actually heard these two terms, but it made a lot more sense once I was reading it. So there's two types of progress monitoring. One is mastery measurement, and this evaluates your students' understanding of specific skills before moving on to the next skill. So thinking about in reading, if students aren't mastering a short vowel sound, you're not going to move on to long vowel sounds yet, and you need to see what specific skills they've mastered before you can continue to build upon those skills to continue to teach them throughout the year. And the other one, which seems to be the most popular, or not necessarily popular, but used most, is the general outcome measurement, or also curriculum-based measurement. And this tracks students' progress over the year. So for example, reading growth. Are students moving reading levels throughout the year? And you might do bigger assessments throughout that time just to continue to track your students' overall progress throughout the year. So two types of data collection tools specifically when I'm progress monitoring my students throughout the year that I use is one, discrete trial training and Fontes Pinnell reading assessments. So I use discrete trial training. I really use that mostly with my students who are more nonverbal. So I take data during instruction every single day to inform of the skills mastered throughout instruction with my students. And it's very simple. You give a cue, response, consequence, and then pause. And then through this, I'll take the data. I have a chart within my binder or my folder, whatever materials I have for that student. And I'm marking, okay, check, they got it. Maybe a dot, no, they didn't get it. And I'll also add how many prompts they might use before they get it correctly. This way, I'm able to monitor my students' progress over an entire week, as well as an entire month, and seeing where when they're making progress. And so this is a really great data collection that we can do every single day. And it's really quick and easy as you're administering your instruction for your student. So for example, the cue, I might have counters. I might give it to my student. I might just say count. They respond, and then there's a consequence. Either I neutrally take away the counters and we'll start over if they didn't respond correctly, or I will reinforce their positive response. If they did it correctly, then we'll pause, I'll take the data, and then we'll continue on. And the other data collection tool I use, and I don't use this for all of my students because all my students are in varying levels, is a Fontes and Pinnell reading assessment. This is a little bit more of a formal reading assessment, and I'll use it probably about 4 times a year to assess, are my students making growth on their reading level? Are they moving reading levels to continue to inform my instruction and to continue to inform the growth that they're making? So the Fontes and Pinnell reading assessment is great. It assesses their accuracy and fluency. So they'll read a passage, and then they have to retell the story, and then there's specific reading comprehension questions that follow. And so this gives me an insight of where are they within their own reading level, and how can I continue to adjust my instruction to then continue to have them grow. Other data collection tools that I've used for reading assessments is a step assessment, and I'll sometimes use that as well. It's not the assessment tool that my school uses, but I've used it in past schools. And the step assessment I also like, and I'll use it as another informal piece of data for myself when collecting information on my students, because it also gives some more of the phonemic and phonological awareness. So do they know their letters? Do they know their sounds? Do they know how to rhyme? Do they know how to identify first sounds? Things like that, which I think are really important to assess. And it also gives an assessment on spelling as well, which I think is really important just within their own phonics of not only their decoding when they're reading a book, but also their encoding as well. So I didn't note that down here, but it is another assessment tool that I will use for students. Accommodations and modifications. Crucial for students. And honestly, not only just our students who have disabilities or students with autism, but if we think about it, we're always accommodating ourselves in any which way throughout our day-to-day lives, just to ensure that we are set up for success. So accommodations and modifications can sometimes get very confusing for people, for teachers, for students, and how to implement them effectively. So accommodations changes the environment. Accommodations does not change the curriculum. It does not change what the student is learning, but it gives them access to the curriculum. It gives them, you can't walk into a room if there's not a door. So it gives them that door to walk into it and be able to access the curriculum and learn the exact same curriculum as everybody else. So I have a laundry list here, but this is also might be extensive, but there's a lot more accommodations that we could be giving our students. One might be flexible seating. Do they need to sit in a wiggle chair? Do they need to be standing up? Do they need to sit somewhere else in a preferred area next to a preferred peer, a teacher, etc.? Having a routine, a schedule, visual supports for their schedule and routine, visual supports for what they might be learning. I know I'm a visual learner, and so I need to see pictures and videos and things like that. Separate setting, alternate responses. Instead of writing their response down, are they going to verbally tell you the response? Are they going to have multiple choice? Things like that. Giving them extended times, frequent breaks, reinforcement system, graphic organizer so they can organize their thoughts, ideas, giving them sentence stems, technology, materials and manipulatives. This is a big range. This means maybe they get a 100-number chart when they're doing a math assessment. Maybe they're given a graphic organizer when they're doing reading. Maybe they are given like counting cubes to help them. Maybe they're given a highlighter where things are already highlighted for them, giving them a word bank for fill in the blanks, things like that. And lastly, what I put down here also was read aloud and describe. So maybe instead of them having to read a passage aloud, a teacher reads it for them and then they're able to respond. Or instead of having to write their own responses, they verbally say their responses and a teacher writes it down. It's just a way for them to be able to show that they know the information and access the information without changing the curriculum. And modifications changes the curriculum. So as accommodations change the environment, modifications actually change the curriculum. We are modifying what the student is taught or expected to learn. So students might have fewer questions or a shortened assignment. They might be given lower leveled texts, so something that's on their level, an alternate assignment, alternate curriculum altogether, shortened assessments and reduced answers, or an adjusted rating scale. So we are no longer looking at the curriculum, or we're no longer looking at the environment and how they can access the curriculum, but we are actually changing the curriculum and what they need to be learning and what's expected of them, because we need to continue to see that they're making growth based on where they're at. This is something that we could continue to talk about for many, many hours and probably days, but I hope this gave you a good overview and insight of assessments for students with autism. Thank you.